the creativeness of breeding in horticulture is something that I really enjoy. It's more art and feeling. Well, it's also quite significantly science, but you never know with the genetics of something what's going to happen. Sometimes it can surprise you, and sometimes it can leave you in tears. Hey everybody, it's Brent, Central Arkansas. I'm in my garage, and today's video is about assessing the first wave of watermelons. I'm going to go back in time a little bit and show you them growing. I'm going to show you what they look like hanging on the trellises and all that. And then right here, I'm going to cut open some fruit for you and tell you what I think about it and why I've decided to go on to the next wave of watermelons, which is probably going to be in the video a little bit as well. So let me turn the camera around, let's get going. So last winter I did a cross between the very small seeded watermelon and a large watermelon that had somewhat small seed in it, and I did a video on that. But anyway, this is that cross, and I've got some melons that are a little bigger. That's kind of in between those two melons that I crossed, but most of them are still this really small watermelon, and I don't want that. I want a larger watermelon. Here's a couple that are a little bit different in their pattern, but they're also still small, more smalls here. However, I did get this one here from that cross that's quite nice. It's fairly large, and I think it may still be growing a little bit. So that is a definite keeper. And this particular one may have come off the same plant. We'll see. This one's not nearly as old, so I'm hoping that one does too. So that large one is my baby so far. I got one here that's a smallish one. And then, of course, over here you can see all the different really small ones. So what I'm going to do is remove a lot of these smaller ones because I'm just not going to continue with it. And that's the harsh reality of a breeder. You got to make selections in culls to move something forward, to move a line forward. So, because I'm not growing to just eat, I'm growing to create. And so I have two good examples. So to me, that's a successful cross. How successful, because of this one, how successful that cross will be determined when I cut this open when it's ripe and I see how big the seeds are and do a taste test. In the meantime, I've got the larger of the two melons, a 9-pound melon, icebox size, that had a little bit smaller seed. And I've started those plants. Let me show you those. This spring, in all these spots where this melon is I'm talking about were Feroce Delicate, and now they're watermelon, and they're even starting to flower. So you'll notice they're not on the trellis, and that's because I have to move these over to where the other watermelons are on the first row, if not exactly replacing the smaller melons. I have to move them also because I'm done with most of these tomatoes. I've already made my selection, and I've already planted replacement tomatoes, and organization with me is a big deal. I don't want various crops all over the place. So I'm going to move the melons next to the melons, and this whole row here will be a new line of tomatoes. Look at that. That's a paste tomato right there. I've got some good prospects coming on paste. Anyway, there's another watermelon, another one here. They were in the Feroce area, and I know these are going to produce large watermelon, or large icebox size watermelons, around the 8 to 10 pound range. I just hope some of them crossed enough to get a large melon with really smaller seed than this parent had. So that's what it's looking like, and as a breeder, you got to make changes. I got to get 2 seasons of crossing, selections, and movements towards my tomato, cucumber, watermelon, well, all of it, all my various varieties I'm working on. And that's my next generation, my next wave of watermelons for the small seed project. I got them there, and I moved them all in here too. And in fact, I've removed all of the melons except for this one plant, and that was the first pass, and I'm going to keep it. That watermelon is phenomenal in size. I hope the seed in it's small. It's got nice color, unusual pattern to it too. So anyway, these are all the watermelons from the larger melon, and I hope they cross with some of the smaller seeds. Anyway, different approaches to the same project. All right, we're going to take this one lone melon from the first wave. It was the only one that was acceptable to me. All the others were too small. I do have several examples inside that are small, and we're going to cut them all open and look at them briefly. But I will quickly talk about how I tell when they're ripe or not. And I don't thump, I don't look for a yellow spot. Obviously, I'm growing on a trellis, so there's not going to be a yellow spot from being on the ground. But the one thing that I look for, and the one thing only, is this tendril here. See this tendril? It is dyed back all the way to the vine itself, and where it attaches to the watermelon too, completely all the way back. Now that's the first sign. After it's dried all the way back like that, I give it another 5 to 7 days. And the reason why I do that is because I have learned that when it dries all the way back, that doesn't mean it's completely ripe. It is getting very close, but you see a lot of people online, they'll say once it dries all the way back, it's ready. Now that might be true with some watermelons, but all the ones that I've ever grown, if you take it just like if it's a little bit green one day and the next day it's dried back, that's not good enough. You gotta wait another 5 to 7 days. So it's been at least that long for this. In fact, it may be a little bit overripe. I don't think it is, because I let it ripen this much longer, even a little bit more, because I'm more interested in the seed than eating it. So anyway, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to remove it from this, and we're going to take it inside. I'm very happy that the coons and possums didn't get it, because they get a large portion of my stuff almost every year. So these are the fruit that I pulled off the vines outside, and I had a whole lot more of these smaller ones that I take a knife and I go out there and I'll just cut them open. I'll take a look at the seeds on the inside. If they're not what I'm after, I toss them. But I thought for my own sake and to share that I would actually do an assessment, which includes weighing them and cutting them open, especially since I'm super hyper excited about this one here. I obviously haven't cut it open yet, but so you're going to see my actual expression and thoughts as we go through this process. And this one will be last. I'm going to work myself up for that one. This is the most exciting part of my breeding work, is when I get to a potential success like this and the anticipation builds up, because I've been watching this one grow for quite some time and it's got the size I want now. The question is, does it have small seeds in it? Even if it's smaller than the original bigger melon that I had, that's one of the 2 parents of all of these, that's a positive. But if it's the same size or bigger, that's kind of going backwards. If it's the same size, I'll probably keep it. But if they're bigger, that's not a success. So to ensure the success, I started the second wave. So these right here, I don't have a lot of thoughts about keeping these. The bigger one, like this one here, if it's got ultra tiny seed in it, I may consider a pocket melon, but what I'm really after is a bigger icebox melon. So I'm going to move the tripod just a little bit. I'm going to cut some of these open after I weigh them. This one's definitely a no-go no matter what, but I'll weigh it. And let me see if you can see that. Maybe I should get a little bit more with the camera here. I'll stand up. It's in pounds and ounces and it's zeroed out. That one's 1 pound, 5.7 ounces. Let's see if I can get it over there. 2 pounds, 9.3 ounces. These are actually bigger in weight than I thought they would be from appearance. 3 pounds, 3.9 ounces, and even bigger. I'll go back down a little bit on this one, I can tell. Two pounds, 10.6 ounces. We'll get this one last of the smallest. 2 pounds, 4.8 ounces. I have to kind of be careful setting these aside so they don't roll off and hit the garage floor, concrete floor, and bust open, causing a mess. 2 pounds, 6.4 ounces. And based on size, this may be close to 4 pounds. It's somewhat close, 3 pounds, 11.2 ounces. So if this one has really tiny seed, that might be a good prospect for a pocket melon. And what I mean by pocket melon is a small melon, individual melon. Now this one of the parents was 9 pounds something, if I remember right, and this one may be about that size as well, or even bigger. We'll see. If I can get it to sit on it. Okay, it aired out, meaning it's heavier than the scale will take. Let me go get the bathroom scale. This is our bathroom scale, and it's the only one, well, we have 2 bathroom scales, but the bathroom scale is the only one that I have that'll measure something above that scale you just saw. So I'm going to try it directly, and then I'm going to stand on it, get my weight, and then I'll pick up the melon and see if that matches. Because sometimes when you put something light on a scale that's made for people, it doesn't register actually accurate. Wow. Hold on 1 second. That is much bigger than I thought. It's 15.8 pounds. That's 15.5 pounds. Let me double check it by my own weight. All right, I'm getting on the scale now. No comments on my weight. 215.4. Now I'm going to get this on here, hold it in my hands, and I'm going to get on the scale again. And we'll see what it says. For some reason the scale is okay. It's not behaving properly for some reason. Error. Alright, let me try it again, see if it'll register. 227.8, so I forget what I said, 215 to 227, whatever it is. I'll put it in the video. Seems to be pretty close, so let's continue on with assessing. Just having some fun with it here. I've got them from smallest to largest. Just to, well, because it's fun. Let me get the chair situated here. I have to sit kind of behind the camera a little bit and angle it so that I can kind of see what's going on while cutting it open. So here we go. Well, it popped as soon as I cut it. Okay, this is kind of typical what I saw out in the garden. The seeds in this particular one are about the size of the large parent, but it's got a really tiny size. That's a definite no-go. And I picked these quite a bit. It's a good thing I said that. Quite a bit before I picked the big one, because I don't need them to be 100% mature. This seed's a little bit smaller than the one we just looked at, but it's still too small to consider. Now I'm going to set these aside and think about them more after I do the video, but I'm just telling you my initial thoughts. You get to see it as I go. This one, the same thing as the first one. It's a little bigger size, but in order for these to be viable, in this one, it needs to have the really tiny seed from one of the parents it was crossed with. One of the things I like about this is it's red to the edge. And if I look at this one here, I can see the size of the seed is not tiny enough. All right, this one's tinier. No, it's not. It looked like it was. It is not. It's about the same. It may be a tiny bit smaller, but it's also, the melon's too small. All right, we're getting to the bigger of the smaller melons. Does that make sense? The bigger of the smaller. Sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it? Okay, they're all the same, and that's what I saw. And this just makes me more depressed to get towards the big melon. Put that over here. Now here is a potential pocket melon. And from what I've seen over here, it's going to have bigger seeds, which would mean that the cross presented with, I would say, the most dominant of the genes, which is the dominance being the bigger or the smaller melon and the bigger seed. And that's exactly the opposite of what I want. All right, so here's the biggest one. It has a great pattern on it too, doesn't it? I like that pattern. Unfortunately, it's not a viable candidate because this seed is at least as big as the biggest one. So, no go. Which makes me a little... This is the big one. This is the 15-pounder. And it makes me worry that this one ain't going to be worth a crap. Darn it. That's a lot of cutting. That's a lot of melon. Icebox. Holy crap. It doesn't have much seed. You know, normally it's packed with seed. That is awesome. Let me tell you why that's awesome. First off, it doesn't have a lot of seed. Oh man, I'm a happy mother. We won't finish that word. I'm trying to get it on the knife here so you can see it. see this? Well, my camera, the back of my camera lens went dark. See the size of that seed? It's at least as small as the bigger parent. And this melon is 75% heavier, or even more heavier than the bigger parent that this came from. And it ate great. I have another video on it if you want to check out that video. Just small seeded watermelon, do a search. And I ate the whole melon, and the seed was imperceptible. I think this seed is even smaller. The melon is even bigger, and there's not a lot of seed in the initial cut. I mean, look at these, all the seed compared to this, especially this one here. I would have preferred if the red came further out, but this is a definite positive. Man, I'm so happy with that. Now I've got the second wave growing out at the garden, the lazy garden. We'll see what that turns out, but I'm on the right path. It may take another year or two to get what I'm after, but I'd like to have seed that's half that size, and the watermelon itself is at least I'd say about 10 to 12 pounds, and this one's heavier than that. So this is a great parent. Now I don't know what it crossed with. It probably crossed with one of the smaller seeded watermelons, and that would be good if it retains an example or two of this size. I'm calling that a win, guys, a win. I'm so happy I can't stand myself. All right, you guys, I'm gonna wrap up the video now. It's not often that I have a success story in breeding. I would say, greater than 80% of the things and projects that go through my mind are not successful, or they require modification or regrow, or just a different angle of attack, just all kinds of things. And it's the creativeness of breeding in horticulture is something that I really enjoy. It's more art and feeling. Well, it's also quite significantly science, but you never know with the genetics of something what's going to happen. Sometimes it can surprise you, and sometimes it can leave you in tears. I've been in both directions, and today was a huge surprise. It was fantastic. I did it in front of you. I was cutting them melons. I'm one after the other. I'm thinking big seed, small melon, big seed, small melon, big seed, small melon. You saw it, you heard me. And then we get to this bad boy right here, and Mother Nature surprised me. I'm gonna continue on with it. So if you enjoyed the video and something like this interests you, a huge, actually, a nice, huge icebox watermelon with some tiny seed that you don't have to pick the seeds out and just enjoy it, then please subscribe and follow along, like it, but more importantly, share it. Helps me grow the channel, helps get me exposure. I am not a typical gardener. You won't find someone like me on YouTube. You'll find all those other people regurgitating the same old simple stuff. I'm not a basic type of guy. I'm I guess I should say I don't grow to eat, I grow to create. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. Love talking to you guys. We'll see you in the next one. I am literally going to savor this moment. We got it in here getting cold, and tomorrow probably an entire thing is going to be eaten tomorrow. And then I'll collect seed while I'm doing it. Nice.